Welcome to the More Life Podcast, where creatives, problem solvers, and entrepreneurs talk about squeezing more out and finding meaning in this crazy thing we call life. Let's dive in. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the More Life Podcast, and we have a real guest in the building today. It's a virtual building, and it is a real guest. Please make some noise for Katie Allred. Katie, say what's up to the people.
Thank you. I was like waiting for the roar, of the people. So you need
This
to
is
insert that
virtual.
in.
We'll edit
You
all
need to
that stuff
insert that
in.
in. Yeah, where's the live studio audience
Yeah.
part?
Like Full House, you know. This is
Yeah,
recorded in front of a live studio audience.
my life is a sitcom, so
Oh,
that would make
I
sense.
love it. Katie, if you guys don't already know, is one of my really close friends, who I love very much. And she's an author, an entrepreneur. She used to work at Meta. She's an educator. She's a conference, I don't know, organizer. You're doing a lot of things, Katie.
I like to keep myself busy.
Yeah, I feel like you're like the queen of spinning plates. There's a few people in my life that do this, but you're one of those people I always look up to because I'm like, how is this? When does this girl sleep?
Never.
How's your sleep pattern going? You
You
have a
can
my
sleep
pillow
when
or
you're
what?
dead.
You can sleep when you're dead. Are you like a marketing bro? You get up. I get up at 5:30 and I do like a 2 hour workout. I drink 17
No,
gallons of water, and then I go for a hike, and then I answer
I
all
get
my
about
emails.
8 o'clock. I drink some coffee. I maybe walk the dog or maybe just put her outside.
Yeah. Susie is from
And that's
Tennessee,
it.
eh,
Yeah, Nashville.
Nashville, and you were. I was just there in October, and you were just here in July,
Yeah.
and
Yet
I'm
we didn't record this in person. How did
no,
that not happen?
I don't know how that happened, but I'm very excited about like you and I seeing each other more than once a year, or once every
Yeah.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, I like it. I think we should make a habit out of it.
I think we should make a habit out of it. I cut you off a little bit because there's a bit of a delay here. I want to
Oh.
hear maybe a little bit about your morning routine, and then we're gonna jump into what we're gonna talk about today. Let's
No,
hear
my
it.
morning No, you're fine. My morning routine is literally I drink some cold brew coffee and but watered down with like an entire protein shake. So
Okay,
it's not really coffee at all anymore at that point,
coffee
but
flavoring.
it's coffee flavored for sure. And I throw some Bulk Barn chai in there.
Bulk Barn. Okay, nice little plug.
I need more. If Bulk Barn is listening, I'm in America, and I need you to sponsor me with just chai. Like, I will talk about Bulk Barn in every podcast that I'm in if you want me to, and that's a lot of podcasts randomly. So
Oh man.
if you
For
want,
the backstory on that is we were together, I think in 2018 or 2019 in Calgary, Alberta, and we were driving. I was like with a bunch of Americans, and we drove by. And I said, "Oh, have you guys ever tried?" We were going to a grocery store. I'm like, "Oh, there's a Bulk Barn here too, if you want to check it out." And they were like, "Huh?" And I realized, "Oh yeah, that's a Canadian thing." And I didn't know if there was an American equivalent, but it's a store full of serve yourself items, ingredients, chocolates, peanut butter, all kinds, anything you can think of, you can get it
but
in
you like
bulk.
scoop it yourself.
Yeah.
That's the important part to know is that like you can just scoop yourself a whole bunch of oatmeal, but then beside it you can also scoop yourself a bunch of Pez.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you need a pound and a half of cinnamon? Because you're doing the cinnamon challenge at scale,
They
then
got you.
we got you. You need rock salt to make ice cream? We got you.
I read in some, or actually I saw, not read. It makes me sound smarter when I say I read, but I'm pretty sure I saw it like on TikTok. Where some country, I can't remember which country. So like, somebody can phone in, but like some country when you're still single at 25, like throws cinnamon at you.
What? To make you like
Yeah, like
spicier?
they just like pelt you with cinnamon. I have no idea
To make you
why.
smell good?
Maybe it's like Germany or Poland or something. Somebody from Europe, let us know what
Please
country is throwing
call us in
cinnamon
right
at
now,
you when
1
you're
800
still single.
call Katie.com. Um, No, I'm very again. We always do this. I've been on Katie's podcast where we can talk about anything forever, but I feel like 20. I just need to say this for anyone who's listening. 25 is young. I got married young. I feel like I'm being hypocritical. 25 is young. You're getting ready. You're getting pelted with cinnamon or a spice at the age of 25. You just got out of school. Like you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I did not get married at 25, so I would have been pelted with cinnamon
Is
in
this
this
only for
country.
females or is this for males too?
No, it's for both.
Okay, well there you go. Equal rights.
Yeah, it's equal opportunity cinnamon pelting, from what I understand.
One last caveat before we start this podcast. I do have a propensity to unleash my inner twang or southernness as I speak to Katie. I've heard it before. Um, so y'all better
And
pray for
Bart's
me.
not Southern,
I'm not southern. I was born in Edmonton, Alberta, which is very northern.
but Bart will get a twang.
I will get a twang. Roll Tide. Katie taught me Roll
You
Tide.
belong here. Look, you've got a crimson shirt on. You're ready for fall. You're ready for football
Crimson
season.
Tide. Let's go. Katie, today we're talking about personal brands. We're talking about you specifically and how you've been able to amass or at least build your personal brand. Even in the pre-interview, you said, I don't even know if I have a personal brand, which you clearly do. For somebody to be able to do all the things that you're doing, people must know a little bit about you and must understand what you kind of stand for. Um, because you had a full time job working at Meta. You also been educating people at University of Alabama, University of Florida. Is that right?
University of Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
University of Florida. You started your own, I guess, online community slash business, so you're entrepreneurial that way. You wrote a book. So all these things are all tied together. Maybe weave us a little bit of the common thread amongst all these different aspects of your life.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to me that I had done anything at all, or that anybody would care to like listen. I don't know. I'm always still like very Taylor Swift, like, wow, you people are all here for me. Oh, Bart, you're muted.
Oh, she's saving the whole world economy right now.
Oh yeah, Taylor Swift is saving the economy. You are correct. I mean, that's a personal brand we could talk about, but um,
So now that you're done comparing yourself to Taylor Swift, please continue.
yeah. Well, do you see how I wanted to change the subject to Taylor Swift's personal brand?
Yes.
Like, I was trying really hard. Like, I feel so awkward talking about my own. But I don't know. I think I started a long time ago, on the internet. I have been online and creating since 99. So a long time. It's funny because, like, when they asked me to fill out, like, how many years of experience do you have doing the internet? Or, like, I don't
All
know,
of it.
doing online community or doing website design. I'm like, I don't know, like, literally more than most people.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's because of Harry Potter, and I think that's always kind of a fun random thing that people don't expect from me is I was super into Harry Potter as a kid. There was no one to talk about Harry Potter with in my neighborhood in Alabama because I lived on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. So it was heresy.
It was
Don't
heresy.
don't listen to that. So I I went online looking for friends, which is every parent's worst nightmare today.
Especially in
And I
1999.
found
Only bad things can happen. Well, even now.
Yeah, in 1999. I mean, my parents didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, they had like a general idea, but they didn't really know too much about what I was doing. But anyway, so I had found these friends. We created our own forum. That forum went, and that website went on to win an award from J.K. Rowling, which is cooler then than it was now, like in
How
2004
old were
ish.
you?
In 2004, I was 14.
When you were 14, uh, uh, you got recognized by the author of Harry Potter. I almost said
Well, I
Harry
wouldn't say
Styles.
I personally, but the website did at least, and I worked at the website.
You started the website.
No, I didn't start it. It's actually a friend of mine. I was administrating the forum for a number of
Ah,
years.
you were administrating the forum, but you were part of something pretty cool pretty early on, and you saw the power of that community and how many people can come together to talk about something that they're all really interested in.
Yeah, I was doing online community at a really young age. We were actually doing like online events, even though we didn't know it. Like, so we did an online event called the Yule Ball,
Did
which
you
is
invent
a Harry
Zoom?
Potter. No, we did it in the forum. So we just told
Wow.
everybody, hey, over these 2 days, we're having the Yule Ball, and we set up specific forums for the Yule Ball and like had specific contests like best dressed and like other things, and people would just like upload and talk that way. There was no Zoom, and interact over those 2 days in that online event, which was so ahead of its time. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's so funny because I never really considered it to be that innovative. I just thought we wanted to get with our online friends and do something silly and fun, and you had to like find a date in the forums and like put who your date was and your little footer or whatever it was back in the signature,
Yes, yes,
you know.
yes. Your signature of the forum. I remember those.
Yeah, and it was a different time. This was before social media
Before
existed.
the iPhone.
Yeah, and like even chat rooms were pretty new. So like I mean we were talking on MSN Messenger
Shout out MSN Messenger.
uh pretty exclusively. We mostly didn't video talk. We just chatted because video talk. I mean, I was on dial up. Most of us were on dial up internet at the time. So it was a different time on the internet for sure. But then social media happened, and the group and forums like that kind of went away, went to the wayside. And honestly, I also just like outgrew what I was doing and had other interests. So I ended up like kind of forgetting that I did any of that for a long time. Through college, I knew I loved computers and I loved like web design, but I didn't understand that like what I really loved about it was the online community aspect of those things. And that I only learned it so that I could have more interaction with people online and like finding new friends. And so yeah, there was nothing to study. That wasn't a thing to study in 2008. So I studied like computer information systems,
Yes.
which is like the lamest thing you can study.
That's what we thought the whole world was gonna be. We thought it was gonna be like computers powering machine and robots that would then help us, create better and greater things. So everyone was learning IT or computer sciences or computer information or data. And that's what we thought the internet and computers were gonna be until like social media happened and we were like, oh, there's a whole new landscape here, and it can be used for a lot of different things for sharing photos, for sharing location, for sharing all kinds of data, and as well as build communities and have conversations.
Yeah, well, and social media became the internet, right? Like at a certain point, there was no difference. People considered Facebook to be the internet. Like they did not know them to be different. Like they were pretty synonymous. It was either Facebook or Google, right?
Yep, poke me.
Yeah, I mean now I would say that's different. I think iPhones when they became invented, I think brought a whole new world of apps and different opportunities. But I know that at first it really felt like that, probably from like 2000, I don't know, 8 to 2012,
Do
2014.
you
It really
remember
felt like.
when Facebook was on text? Like you could text your messages, like your messages would come to your phone, because not everybody had a smartphone yet, and so there was still like a large population that only had like feature phones, like candy bar phones, and then you could like text your profile status and stuff.
I do remember that briefly, but do you also remember Cha Cha?
Yes.
I loved Cha Cha. I was a Cha Cha guide. I answered questions. So if you ever texted Cha Cha, I could have answered for all we know.
Oh my goodness, we're just old, Katie, at this point.
we're old people. Cha Cha was this thing that you could text. It was like Google, but for your dumb phone.
Yes.
And it was incredible. I loved it, and I loved working for it and answering questions and making 1 cent per question.
It was a simpler time when you could just cha-cha something and get a response in about a minute or
Yeah,
two. Um,
it was.
so you go to school for computer information systems or computer science systems. I don't know which one it was. But you
Information.
information systems, and you graduate, and now you're on social media. How are you
Yeah,
working? I guess how does like the church communications Facebook
come
group
into it.
start? Yeah, 'cause I
It
feel
doesn't.
I feel like that's later on, like that's like
Yeah,
2017 or something like that. Like we're missing something here. What are we missing,
yeah,
Katie?
yeah. So I didn't immediately go into that. I worked in IT actually for a couple of years doing network administration, which is totally what people expected. Of me. And I hated it. Did not like it one bit. I was also like an IT support desk help person, which everyone loved, by the way. Everybody loved me as a IT support
I can
person. I
see it.
guess I was like the best IT support person. Because I would just come and chat the whole time and
I
then
can see
fix your
that.
problem while we were chatting. So
Yes.
it was like a nice like therapy session while
Yes.
also.
What's on your
But
Netflix
yeah,
queue? Talk to me.
yeah, basically, yeah. I was like, all right, well, tell me how you been while I'm over here unplugging your computer, plugging back in again. Like, I mean, almost 90% of the time it was I needed to restart their computer. And they would tell me over the phone, oh, I've restarted it. I restarted it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah, well, I'll be there in a minute. And then I'll restart it, and that's it. And which we call it in IT, the ID10T error. Do you know what that is?
9010, yeah.
Yeah,
I've,
the ID10T error. If you want to spell that out, people of the podcast, you can, and then you'll find out what that is. So we won't give it away for you.
it,
That's up
we
for
don't want to
you.
ruin that for people.
We don't want to ruin what that is. So, anyways, I did that for a couple years, and I realized that's not what I wanted to do in my life, and found a job listing on Twitter actually. Um, there, yeah, there was a guy I followed who I had trained with. I worked camp for 3 summers of college, and he used to train me at camp. He used to be in charge of like production at camp and for like Beth Moore events and Priscilla Schreier events. And I always said, oh man, I would love to work for this guy. And so when he posted that job, it was for web content manager. I was in the middle of getting my web degree. So I was getting an online communications degree with an emphasis in web development. And I was like, this sounds like it's up my alley. It's something I would enjoy. I think I'm going to do this. So I applied and got it. And that's when I moved to Brentwood, Tennessee. And I was there about 3 years maybe before I started church communications. So I started this Facebook group back in, honestly, I started like in 2015, but like I really didn't do anything with it till 2016. And at the same time, I think luckily for us, Facebook was starting to pay attention to groups and put a lot of like organic reach and speed into
I
groups, you
think
know?
they saw the gap in the market of where, which is funny because it's kind of your origin, forums used to be, and people would have these
Yeah,
very specific dialogues and
right.
be able to communicate and share. And they already had a system to share video clips, links, messages, photos. And they're like, well, why don't we categorize people by their interest groups? And we're also solving these whole different forum things. And we get people to stay on our app for way longer.
Yeah, yeah. So I created this group kind of like wanting, I was actually working with my boss, who the same guy who hired me at first, and he wanted to do some courses and stuff, and I really wanted to just have the community. So it was working. And then it really took off. It grew so much, and then the pandemic happened, and it like doubled in size because of the pandemic, because nobody knew how to do the internet. Um, So, I mean, there were a few. I would say like half of the churches were ready for the pandemic, but the other half were not. So
And in America, that's
we,
a lot of churches.
yeah, I don't know. It was a very crazy time trying to answer all those questions and prepare people and help people and get them caught up to speed. So, yeah, the church communications thing ended up becoming my whole brand from there. And I wrote a book on it. That's what's behind me there, all those orange books. And
All the books on that library, Katie wrote all of them.
entire. No, I'm just kidding. No, just the orange ones.
Just the orange ones.
Yeah, there and it's pretty small. And I like tell people this is my entire brain, and I only like got into it like I only wrote the book because I was mad it didn't exist. Like I wrote it because it should have existed. It's not that complicated of a book. I'm just mad that it didn't exist. Therefore, I had to write it to like make it exist, which is just funny to me. Like that was what I like
That's very
got
funny.
into this for.
So now
Uh,
you're known a little bit in the quote unquote church world, or at least the church communication world, for a Facebook group, and you by this time, are you teaching yet? Also, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I started teaching back in 2014.
okay.
So I've been teaching online for a long time. I teach mostly consumer and audience behavior for the University of Florida. But I also had taught for 3 years. So I actually, when I was working at that church, around 2018 is when I stopped working at the church and I moved back to Alabama and I was a professor at my alma mater for 3 years. Um, Built an agency there as a student agency, and then kind of grew that and decided I was ready to do something else. And that's when Meta came along, and I worked there and in community again, so which was really fun, helping communities and helping them grow on Facebook groups. And then yeah, now I'm back at church communications full time.
So you've gone through the gamut of a lot, in terms of different aspects of your life that have all been connected through the power of community. And when did you ever think that maybe the church community, church communication would be part of like what people know you for? Because you now have this a large group of people that know you online who know you for a certain thing. When did the realization happen for you to be like, oh, this is kind of like my thing now?
Yeah, it was probably 2018. I spoke at a conference and I had this idea, and it's still something I really am passionate about reaching people online um, for the gospel, for the church, using, these online communities. And not like creating online communities specifically for that, but just like being a normal human being that's really kind and great in an online community. And then because you're so nice, people come to know Jesus because they're in relationship with you, not because they're like,
You're weird or
not
anything?
because you're weird.
Yeah, don't be
You know?
don't be weird.
People are so weird about evangelism. They're just a bunch of weirdos. And like handing out tracts. I don't know. That's weird, Like Jesus didn't do that. Like where in the playbook of the New Testament did you get
Oh
that?
man.
Because it's not there. I mean, now you might also say, well, it's not there to like go into an online community and like talk and be a nice person. But I'm like, yeah, but Jesus went into communities and he was just a nice person
Yeah, just be a
and
normal person.
just be normal. Don't be weird.
Don't be weird. That should be a
Yeah,
teacher.
like just join a community about hiking because you like hiking, and then if you happen to make some friends, great. Like life change happens in the context of relationship. There's no other way that it happens. So if you want to be a nice person and become known, just be a nice person, and then you will become known.
What a concept. What a concept. If I'm just a nice person, I'll make some friends.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of how hopefully, I don't know, how I built my own personal brand was I just wanted to be helpful, and I think that at the end of the day, that's still who I am. I just really want to be helpful. And so whatever that might be. It might be in church communications, it might be in the WordPress community, it might be in, there's a lot of different communities I'm still involved in,
Yeah.
freelancing communities and those kind of things.
You're just a big
And
nerd.
like, I really just want to be known as helpful.
I think you're just a big nerd. You're like in the IT. You're in the WordPress. You got all the difference is from the, I guess, the stigma of quote unquote nerd, because I'm saying that meaning like you're really smart, but there's also, you have this way of connecting with people where they see that personal brand, or at least the message of it, of like, I'm just here to help, and I'm interested in what you're doing, and I can offer you some advice. Because you do have the nerdy aspect, which is like, I could talk to you like on a very technical level about computer sciences or IT or building systems or WordPress, but I can also talk to you about building community, having a strong presence, all these other aspects as well, which is a very, not many people that have the skill set you have also have like the hard skills, but also have the soft skills to go with it as well. And I think that's a really unique place to be. Um, and you're a woman, clearly. So it's like a lot of times people
What?
don't be weird.
Shock.
Shocker. So I'm like, so you also have like this way to cut through. Uh, I'm gonna use this word without defining it very well, cuts through male tension where, I want to be the smartest person in the room and talk about tactics and planning and all that kind of stuff because you're really knowledgeable about X, Y, and Z. But then you can also talk a little bit more about the bigger scale of things for how you can actually use these tools to see life change and people's lives changed.
Yeah, it's funny because like I really do consider myself a bro a lot of times. Like because like I really can bro out,
I
like
know.
like I can go into a group of bros and like really like hang, I guess. Because yeah, I can kind of talk their like language, right, of strategy and like how to win customers and sales and marketing and all that, but that's not what I care about, which I think frustrates a lot of people. Frustrates me too, a lot of times. Like, I don't care about the money as much as I care about the people.
Right.
And it frustrates me too because I'm like, this isn't who I am. I'm not a great salesman. Then I realize, oh yeah, I've got to like put money behind this sometimes.
Right. Somehow you got to put some, you still have to pay bills.
I still have to pay the bills at the end of the day, Bart.
Yep.
Which whatever.
Well, now
I don't
that you're
know.
like a seven-time national best-selling author,
I don't know about 7 times, but thanks, Bart.
every time I introduce Katie, I add more, like how many awards she won. Yeah, Katie's won about 27 awards. She's a
I
eight-time
did
bestseller.
win the tomato haiku contest.
What's that?
So I won the tomato like haiku poetry contest here in Nashville, the Tomato Festival.
What haven't you done? This is
I won third place in the oddities category for my sonnet about tomatoes.
girl, you're on a different level. We're just trying to be like you.
So, whenever you're ready for that,
Well,
just let me know.
maybe we'll put that as a bonus feature for those people that make it all the way to the end. Maybe you can do a reading of your soliloquy in your sonnet, and you
Yeah,
can
I
monologue us
will.
out, and we'll just slowly fade out the music.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like I should give people some practical knowledge on building a personal brand.
Well, yeah, this is what we're here to talk about, and we've already talked for about half an hour. So let's talk specifically about number one, your personal brand as it is now, and how
Mhm.
you'd like to use it to leverage, I guess, your goals. Like, how does that all work for you?
Well, it's funny because I've already reached all my goals.
Don't kill me.
Part. So I'm trying to think of some new ones actually
President
now.
of the United States.
Well, that was the goal when I was 16, and I decided I didn't want that.
Oh, okay.
So, no, thank you. I don't know. No, thank you. Yeah,
So,
I love
so
community,
are we
but
gonna
not.
name this episode "How to Reach Your Goals"? How to plan goals when you've reached all your goals? Like
Yeah, how to reach all your goals by
by
33, like
33.
Jesus did.
By Katie Allred, a sonnet. Um, no, but
Because yeah, I mean, I did all the things I wanted to do, right? Like I wrote a book, I had a podcast,
yeah.
I had a brand that people knew and recognized.
So, do you say you don't have a
Um,
brand anymore? What's your brand now? I did
well,
it,
I mean, church
guys.
communication is still the brand. I think like I'm considering what is next. I still really love church communication, so I'm building that out right now into like a membership, and I want to build it into a professional organization, like an association that's
Got it.
a little bit more outside myself, still community driven
Mm-hmm.
because associations typically are, but like more into certification and the education piece, I think just needs to exist. Like I said,
I
I'm
think
just
that's huge. Having to be somebody who can you say I'm church communications certified, or I went through this 8 weeks intensive where I now feel like I'm ready and I'm equipped, and I also have the backing of a community to help me. I think that's a great idea.
yeah. There's so many communications directors who are doing this completely on their own,
I know I
and
was one of
so
them.
yeah. So the more we can enable them to feel like they're not alone is what I want to do. And what I have always wanted to do with this community is to make these people feel like they're not alone.
So you've already amassed, um, I guess, the recognition, or you're using the personal brand already. But
Hmm.
right now, are you more thinking about how to balance all of the different aspects of who you are in this personal brand? Like, is this something that you even work at? Because I feel like now you kind of just live in your life, and
I'm kind of just living my life at the moment, but I do have like some goals in my head about what I want to do next. I think some of it might be like I've considered getting a PhD and thinking about like online community as a research field or even AI as a research field
yeah,
because it's so crazy right
I know.
now. Who doesn't love a little
Oh
AI,
my goodness. Don't do it. I'm not gonna do it.
Okay, we're not going to talk about AI, but we could. That can be a different podcast, Bart. We
we'll,
can schedule another
we'll
one on
schedule
that
another one. We'll schedule another one.
because I've got some thoughts
So
around it.
now you've freed up some of your time, right? Like you're not
Yeah,
working
I've
at
freed up
Meta.
some of my time, so now I can just focus on church com, and I'm doing that right now. I really want to get it to a certain place, but like future me, I think I really like want to figure out online community and its effects and who it is, like what it is, and do more consulting and work in that area in online community. I think continue. I think like that's been a huge theme in my life, and I have yet to like really dive into it outside of doing it. So like doing some research and that kind of things about it. More academia probably than I care to admit, even though I don't want to. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I think that I'm happy with where it's at, but with my personal brand when it comes to my personal brand. But I am intrigued to help people build online communities better and to be able to build a life from them, like a sustainable income, and build something that gives back to them and gives back to their community.
From what I remember when I first heard about you, this is probably early on in the group. I think we were like still under like 5,000. Maybe it was like 1 or 2,000. That's when I joined. That's when I first heard about you with this Facebook group. I felt like your brand had organically matured with you, and it seemed, at least from the outside, very uh, natural. Like you didn't have to. It was just like, well, that's the girl. When you think of church communication, well, there is a community already with thousands of people in it, so it became synonymous with who you were. And so I don't think you had to put like that effort to kind of shout it from the mountaintops. You kind of leveraged um, community to kind of, you know, catapult your brand per se. And the joke is you weren't even looking to like start a brand. You know what I mean? Like you were just
Yeah, yeah. And I was actually thinking about right before I started it. I really wanted to like. I was 23, so I was pretty
a
young
young
when I
puppy.
like considered starting the whole thing. That was 10 years ago, Bart. I was just like, I would really love to speak at events around this specific topic of like creating community and how awesome it is on the internet. And I was really looking for a platform for that. And then I created the group mostly because I was doing that job. I was doing web stuff at a church. I was doing communications work at a church. And I thought, I can find 50 people who complain about making a bulletin every week. Like, I can find 50 people who have to update the website and the app and they're mad about it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I wanted, some commisery.
Yeah.
And yeah, misery loves company.
100%.
So I found a lot of miserable people. No, I'm just
And
kidding.
you found you really found the company, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I really found the company. I was expecting like, 1,000, now there's like 32,000. So it's hopping in there. And I mean, there's groups that are definitely bigger. I don't know. I like ours for what it is. I don't know. There's tons of others, and that's great. That popped up since. But yeah, I don't know. It was definitely a first mover advantage, and then also like I just created it because I was simply mad that this community didn't exist for these people who were doing this important work that was also really lonely. And so I don't know, and it's so funny. Then I became like synonymous with it, and that wasn't maybe my intention
Right.
to begin with, for sure.
So before we go, I'm gonna help you plug here. Talk to us about the Church Communications Conference, and
Yeah.
this is your second year doing it, or your third year?
It's the second year, sort of. We did do one back in like 2017. So, but gosh, that's been a long time ago. And it was a different world before the pandemic. Events were a different world. So, I would consider it to be the second one, at least annually, that we're actually doing year by year. And so the Church Communications Conference is September 21st and 22nd in Franklin, Tennessee. So, right here in my hometown. It's beautiful. I drug Bart through Franklin. He liked it.
I want to move there, man.
Yeah, I convinced him to move by visiting Franklin. So you should visit Franklin and come and learn with us for a couple of days. If you're working in church communication, it's just a fun couple of days where we're going to learn about, Holly Tate's coming. She's talking about like bridging the gap between your team and leadership. So like, how do you bring ideas to leadership and convince them to get on board with it? Joanna LaFleur is coming, who's a mutual friend, and she's talking about your comm systems and how to like not make yourself go crazy from building like communication systems at your church. And so there's a lot of great content going to be happening at the conference. But if you want to find out more information, you go to churchcommunications.com/conference. Communications is plural with an s.com/conference. And come and hang out with us. We would love to have you.
Awesome. I'm just gonna assume my invitation got lost in the mail. So we're just gonna keep it moving. And Katie,
Bart, you're always
I'm
invited.
joking. I'm joking. I know.
Come on, Bart.
I know.
Why are you not coming? That's the real question.
Wow, you flipped it on me.
Other people are like, Katie, they're just texting me. They're like, can I just come? And I'm like, yeah, you should. So,
Well, you might see me there, listeners, if you are planning on going to the Church Communication Conference. If you want to learn about community, if you want to learn about leadership, if you want to learn about church comm, Katie is definitely the person you want to be talking to. And besides the conference, Katie, where can people find you online if you want to reach out or follow you?
Yeah, me specifically, you can go to katieallred.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at katiejallred. KDJ Allred, not .com, just KDJ Allred.
You do online stuff, right? On social media?
Yeah,
Okay.
right. It's too much .com. Like I'm like, .com it is.
Anyways, guys, this
When
has
you're
been
in Canada, do you say .ca?
No, .ca.
I think you should say .ca.
.ca. Just go to bartanderson.com. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna leave it Oh, do you have your poem? I'm joking. I'll see if you have your.
No, I don't have my poem
Wait, you don't have it
ready.
memorized, Katie? What's going on?
I don't have my sonnet memorized about tomatoes. No.
I'm disappointed, but that's all right.
Bonus content.
Bonus content afterwards. We'll put it in the show notes maybe for the Patreon. There's no Patreon. Guys, this has been the More Life Podcast. I've been Bart. That's been Katie. We're so happy that you guys have been here listening and you made it to the end. All right. Peace out.